The music continues to slowly sink deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. Hey everyone, my name is Christoph Jakob. I'm a music composer for video games. Earlier this month I did a poll asking you which games you'd like me to check out in the future beside the Splatoon games. And it really looks like you want me to check out some indie games. As an indie composer myself, this sounds like a lot of fun. A side note at this point, I will continue to analyze Splatoon music on this channel as well. Should we get to hear some newly added music in the future, I'll be sure to jump back to Splatoon with open eyes, ears, and probably yelling like a maniac in an instant. Anyway, today let's check out one of the tunes from the game Celeste. This tune is called Quiet and Falling. Let's go. Very peaceful tune. Also quite melancholic sounding. And lonely. What a great chord progression. Quiet and Falling is not called Quiet and Falling without a reason. The focus of the tune seems to be a soft piano that is outlining a really nice chord progression that I'm gonna talk about in a moment, as well as different kinds of smooth and almost a little haunting strings, pads and synth sounds, which all together create a soothing, ambient and overall quite warm atmosphere. There are no sudden dynamic shifts, no drums, no real bass, or anything else that may distract you from the main melody. Or the piano, I'm not sure if you can really call that a main melody. As a result, your entire focus is on that soft piano, which is being played quite emotionally, pretty much without sticking to that grid that digital audio workstations force you to work in. It speeds up, it slows down, yet it all feels very natural. This explains the quiet part of the title. The song is called Quiet and Falling though. Why? This is where the chords come into play. I'm going to explain the progression in two different ways. First, the unnecessarily complicated way. The piano is roughly outlining or sometimes just implying the following chords. C minor 7, B augmented. In music there can be chord shapes that aren't major or minor. Augmented chords are one of them. So you could have something like a B major chord, a B minor chord, but there's also something called an augmented chord. If I had to explain what an augmented chord sounds like, I would say it sounds mysterious. Not so much in a disturbing kind of way, but it definitely evokes a sense of curiosity. You wonder where this tune is gonna go next, because it doesn't sound resolved at all. E flat with a B flat in the bass. A half diminished. Similar to augmented chords, you can also have something that's called diminished chords. And unlike augmented chords, these tend to sound a lot more tense overall. In so many cases, a standalone diminished chord would just sound out of place. It's not resolved at all, so you almost always expect it to go somewhere else. And half diminished basically means that you also have a seventh note in this chord. I love this sound. E flat again, this time with a G in the bass. F minor 9, which is implied. And G7.
I'm going to explain the progression in two different ways. First, the unnecessarily complicated way.
Now, an easier way. The right hand of the piano, so the higher notes, is dancing on and around a similar motif. You know this da 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 or da 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 da. And what is the left hand basically the bass doing? That's right, it's gradually falling down, deeper and deeper, with every chord that's being played. The music evokes a feeling as if someone is reflecting on their life while slowly floating or maybe even drowning, sinking deep into the ocean. Or maybe deep into the ocean of one's own thoughts, overthinking your own life, so to speak. This is something I love doing myself and that I can only recommend other composers to experiment with as well. Instead of meticulously focusing on the underlying chords and which chord works or doesn't work, try to move out of that box and look at musical ideas from different perspectives. While music theory is really helpful at transcribing all the different sounds that reach our ears, oftentimes there's more to it than that. And I'd personally say that we don't always have the right words to describe the emotions that a certain piece of music evokes in us. And neither should nor can we have them, at least if you ask me. Moving on. I know why this tune is called Quiet and Falling. I wouldn't say that it's sad, but it's definitely melancholic. This section was quite similar to the one we just heard. Instead of a loop with 8 different chords, it has now been reduced to just 4 different chords. Overall, the piano feels much more subtle and lonely than it already was. It's also much more simplified than before. If you pay close attention to the movement in the bass, you will notice that the tune is actually still falling though. Yet at the same time, because it's only falling half as deep as it used to in the previous section, it feels a little as if the descending person is clutching at every straw to potentially get out of this downward spiral. So in a way, I would say you can actually hear a little bit of hope in this. Very nice. But no melody so far. Go. Ah, what a nice choice of notes. I love the synth work in the background. What a way to start this beautiful melody. It starts on one of the most ambiguous notes you can possibly choose to start a melody on, the 9th. The tune starts on a C minor chord. Yet the melody starts here, which is a 9th. A very, very nice and ambiguous sound. If I had to describe the 9th with just one word, it would be melancholic. Not so much sad, but more a hollow and empty kind of melancholy. The chord progression during this part is roughly the same as it was in the first section, with just a few different changes we need to make now that the melody has put the harmonies into actual context. Now that we got to hear the melody, it seems like the second chord that I was explaining as an augmented chord earlier is something else. It's more like a G major chord with a different note in the bass and with an added flat 6. But like I said earlier, the exact name of the chord really doesn't matter here. The falling movement of the bass, of course, is still present here. While the previous sections sounded a little more hopeful, at least to my ears, I think the melody pretty much crushes the hope again here, as the music continues to slowly sink deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. Ooh. The piano's gone. Which means only synth sounds are left now. Making this entire tune more somber and ambient than it already was. I love this one synth that sounds like bubbles. For the final parts of Quiet and Falling, I think the name Quiet and Having Fallen would be more appropriate. While the tune is still looping the same kind of chord progression we've heard the entire time, the sudden complete absence of the piano now evokes a feeling as if you've reached the bottom and there's next to no hope that you will get out of this anymore. This is further emphasized by this little bubbly synth, which really makes it sound like you're underwater, close to losing your consciousness. Yet at the same time, at least to me, it sounds oddly comforting and almost a little positive. Yeah. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to see more videos like this, you can click here. It's a huge playlist where I react to and analyze Splatoon music. Here is a video where I react to the final boss theme of Sonic Frontiers, which also happens to be surprisingly emotional. And earlier this month, I finally released a new original soundtrack once again. If you'd like to check that out, you can click here. See you next time.